Stuart, why don't you talk a little bit about your transition from the traditional job, traditional economy, and the epiphanies that you had at that time where you said, you know what, I'm just not going to continue to live this life where I'm paycheck to paycheck and worried about the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think, a lot of us realize that the internet is the way to go, but we just have no idea how to make that transition. I was exactly the same. I had no idea. It was obvious to me that if I had a global audience, it was obvious to me that if I could sell product all over the world, that would be a much better option than relying on a local store. I realized that if I could have a website working 24/7, 365 days a year, again, globally, that would be a lot better of a way of making and generating income than what it would be trading my time for money, sitting in traffic and commuting like I was. But I just had no idea how. So what I did is I really started researching, much like you may be doing right now, and I was looking for the answers. The problem that I found is that nobody really had the answers. I saw a lot of hype. I saw a lot of push button money, try this and get this and you'll make money overnight. But the reality is I knew none of that would work, despite the fact that I even tried a few. And the minute I understood that I could very simply go out there and find customers using marketing strategies and sell other people's products, I realized that, well, actually, what is it that is stopping me? Because usually most people would not get started in business because of huge overhead, needing brick and mortar business units or space or staff and a huge amount of capital to get started. But the moment that I realized that I could sell other people's products and I could use online marketing to generate an income, I was sold. The rest is history. I got started, and I won't tell you that it was easy, but quite honestly it was reasonably simple. There was a bit of a steep learning curve, and I had to apply everything that I was learning in a very short space of time because the credit card bills were coming in. I was even struggling to keep up with my car payments at the time. But the moment that I realized that I had made the right decision was when I actually made my first online sale. And I remember it so clear. And in fact, I have this anchored feeling of still excitement today where I remember waking up in the morning, checking my emails, and I'd made like my first $30 whilst I was asleep just before I went to work. And the minute I proved that concept to myself, that I could do that and I could make money digitally in terms of nobody gave me money. It was just a number, but I was able to withdraw a check a few weeks later. I realized, this is the way that I want to move forward. And that's why we've created a business system after, years and years of experience. We've come to realize that actually, it is quite a simple process once you understand the key concepts and the strategies that need to be applied on a daily basis.
To set the table, to get us started, let's go back to 2007, where all of this started. Now, we don't know exactly what caused this massive recession. Some say greed. The reality is this, though. Millions of people lost their jobs. Thousands of traditional businesses started to close their doors every month. It breaks my heart every time I see a going out of business sign in a local store or local business on Broad Street or Main Street or High Street. As an entrepreneur, you know what it feels like to struggle. And as an employee, there's no worse feeling than being handed that pink slip or that notification that you're no longer needed. All of a sudden, we have a situation where baby boomers can no longer afford to retire. They're living longer. The money that they had, their equity in their homes, their savings, a lot of it's gone. A lot of students, they can't find work. Almost half of all students over the last 4 years, they're still unemployed. They're still living with their parents. The average family's income and net worth has regressed almost 20 years. That's 2 decades of loss. Millions are frustrated. They're unsettled about the future. They don't know where to turn, and they don't know what their options are. If we look at what happened in 2007, for those who were complacent and buried their head in the sand, they went into denial mode. For some, it was too little, too late. For some, it was survival mode. Household names like Washington Mutual, Borders, Blockbuster, Kodak, HMV, Lehman Brothers. This was the largest bankruptcy in history. Unemployment, absurd. And according to this chart, it'll be 2040 before all the jobs come back. Now, we all know the facts. Yeah, things have been tough. But at the same time, there's been a revolution. Did you even know about Facebook 10 years ago? LinkedIn, Twitter, Bing? These are now household names. These are companies worth billions and billions of dollars. While all of this doom and gloom has been happening, these companies have been staking their claim in the digital economy. Also, a new independent workforce has been rising. That's almost 23 million people who will transition from the traditional economy to the digital economy. And you can see here from 2007 to present, necessity-driven entrepreneurial activities increased over 250%. 2012, another record season, almost 25% of retail spending was online. Maybe that has something to do with all the small businesses and stores that we see bordered up across America. Do you know that there are over 1 billion smartphones in use? A smartphone is basically a mini computer. A smartphone has more computer power than the entire space program did back in the 60s. So what does all of this mean? Well, I've painted a picture for you of contrast. Doom and gloom, massive explosive wealth. The question is, where do you fit in? Now, as you can see on this chart on your screen, there are really two economies. There's the economy that those of us who are digital entrepreneurs have been enjoying. Yet companies like Liberty Travel, Linens and Things, Tower Records, HMV, Jessup's, Blockbuster, Borders, could go on, bankrupt. Now, did these companies just not see what was coming? Did they react too slowly? Who knows? But you know what? It doesn't really matter, because you as an individual, all you have to think about is how do you help those that are struggling, who are still in the traditional economy, how do you help them transition to the digital economy? This is what's called the digital gold rush. You see, you don't have to get on a ship and travel 18,000 miles around the southern tip of South America because the Panama Canal hasn't yet been dredged. 18,000 miles? 18 miles? 18 inches? Are you kidding me? You're probably watching this video on a computer right now. And if you have an internet connection and a laptop, you have access to the digital economy, which also means that you have the ability to help those millions of businesses that are struggling, those millions of people that are struggling in the traditional economy, those who have not yet woken up to reality. There's an opportunity for you, and it's called the digital arbitrage. So get ready. We're going to talk about you creating your digital life or your digital lifestyle by helping solve this massive problem. More specifically, helping us at Digital Experts Academy solve this problem. We need you. The mountain that you see in the video metaphorically stands for one of two things. It either appears to be an obstacle, something that stands between you and your digital life, your ability to wrangle yourself free from the traditional economy and being forced to trade time and talent for money. Or you could also see it as an opportunity. You know, people climb mountains like this for fun in the real world, as crazy as it may seem. I mean, think about the people that trek to the top of Mount Everest or Matterhorn or any of the famous mountains. For what? What I'm going to show you here today isn't nearly as dangerous or nearly as costly as hiking to the top of a mountain. You see, the opportunity that stands in front of you, it only looks like an obstacle because that's the way those with limiting beliefs and limiting views see the world. As an entrepreneur, if you see opportunity every time you see an obstacle, you know there is something special about you. Now, contrary to popular belief, success does not look like this. I mean, if it did, we'd all be millionaires. Unfortunately, success as an entrepreneur is no small task. Most people fail. You should know this. It's not for the faint of heart. In fact, if you're one of the 80% who's more comfortable showing up to your job, you can probably just pause the video right now and go watch a movie. You'll have more to show for than if you stick with this and quote unquote try to change your life. What success really looks like is a lot more like the red line that you see on your screen. 10% make it to the first summit. Maybe 1% make it to the top. By the time you get to the top, when the climbing is over and it's just a matter of trekking back down, In other words, when the greatest challenge is behind you and it's downhill, you're coasting, you're cruising, less than 0.1% ever make it to that place. But what I'm going to show you today should really inspire you, because what you'll see is to beat out the 90% or even the 99%, it doesn't actually take that much. It doesn't actually take that much because most people give up way before they actually start to realize the end result. So what does it actually take? In all honesty, what does it take to build a successful digital business in the digital economy? Now, like our superhero who's ripping open his shirt, we may not all feel that confident. I'm going to unleash my digital entrepreneur. I'm going to come out and conquer the world. Well, you know what? Metaphorically, we'd love to think that everyone feels that way, but we know for a fact that that is not the case. In fact, the majority of our members are baby boomers. They know nothing about marketing, let alone the internet. They know little more about technology than turning on their computer. Like I said, the mountain, it represents the opportunity, but also the obstacle that stands between you, the opportunity seeker, and becoming the digital expert, so to speak, or the person who makes a living in the digital economy. The mountain, it can be dangerous, it can be foreboding, but it can also be fun. Think about this. If you had to cross a mountain, you might see that as an obstacle, as a problem, so to speak. But for those who love to climb on mountains, who love mountaineering, and I'm not one of those people who would sign up to choose to scale the next mountain peak just for the fun of it, well, those people see it differently. If you are to build a successful digital business from scratch, in other words, if you're going to scale this mountain on your own with no prior experience, this is kind of what you're looking at. Now, the first ascent, just to get to the point where you have a successful business system, and this is the point where only 10 or 15% actually succeed. You've got to set up domains and web hosting. You've got to hire a copywriter. You have to hire a graphic designer. You have to launch a website, hire developers, create lead magnets, develop a marketing funnel, sales funnel, create autoresponders, create sales presentations, customer support, all of that stuff you need. You've got to research affiliate programs. You've got to build a mailing list, apply for affiliate accounts, select products to promote, set up social media profiles, build a relationship with your list, and start calling your low converting offers. And that just gets you to the first base camp. From there, to get to the point where you can actually launch your digital business, possibly looking at launching a book or publishing a book, retaining a branding agency, hiring designers, developers, market research, customer support, creating sales presentations. Less than 5% make it to this point. And now to make it to the peak, wow, climb is steep. You have to concept a product line, hire an affiliate manager, begin market testing, optimize your marketing system, hire and train sales and support people, expand your team, scale your traffic and marketing, identify and fix your funnel leaks, launch a high-ticket product line, maybe develop some products of your own. There's a lot to do. Each of the dollar signs that you see on your screen represents a cost, either in time or in money, that it takes to launch, to build, to develop your own business. But once you make it to the peak, if you're able to reach that place where you have an integrated product line, you've set the foundation, you've climbed to the peak, you've earned your way to that point, you've developed and defined yourself as an expert, as a brand. You're hosting live webinars and seminars, you're scaling your traffic even further, you're expanding your sales team, you're leveraging your expertise, your brand network, you're getting paid to speak, to train, to consult, you're partnering with joint venture partners, you're creating your own affiliate program, you're hiring senior management to run your daily operations. Every aspect of this business I had to master, as did Stuart. Everything you see on your screen, we had to either build or create or invent. The systems, the processes, the ability to do what we're doing as a marketing system in this digital economy did not exist before. In fact, this is the reason why most people fail in the digital economy. Most home business owners, most internet marketers, most affiliate marketers, the vast majority never turn a profit. 97% never make it to self-employed status. 80% aren't even able to earn any income at all. But what if there was an alternate path? What if there was a way to transition from opportunity seeker to digital lifestyle business without having to scale the peak every time by yourself? What if that actually existed? Well, I have some good news for you today. It didn't exist 10 years ago, didn't even exist 5 years ago, but it definitely exists today. What if your path could look like this? Now, this doesn't mean that it's click button or silver bullet based. You still have to learn new skills. You still have to learn new techniques. You still have to change the way you think. You still have to do the work. But compared to starting a traditional business versus buying a franchise is definitely a lot more predictable. Another form of how the law of diminishing returns can work against you is information overload. I don't need to give a whole lot of explanation here, but sometimes too much, taking on too much, biting off more than you can chew, can actually kill you, can actually hurt you, can actually suffocate you. Unfortunately, business opportunity seekers, they're addicted to information. They're signed up on every list. They're buying every info product. They're always looking for that next best, easiest, quickest solution. They're trying to circumvent the natural order of things, the law of remuneration, where you actually earn what you're worth. They're trying to circumvent that by creating a caveat. And information overload comes in and kicks their butt every time. But just like addicts, they have to come back for their fix. They cannot help themselves. And this is the definition of insanity. When you do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, that's the definition of insanity. But unfortunately, when you're talking about the brain, when dopamine is rushed every time an opportunity seeker comes across a widget or a silver bullet or a solution that they think could be the secret, when they come across that or what they think is that, they cannot help themselves. They have their wallets and their credit cards out so fast. They're signing up, they're getting enrolled, they're getting in position, they're locking into the downline, they're locking into the pay plan, the binary compensation plan, you name it. They're all over it. They are higher than a kite. Like my friend used to say, they're flies on rice. They're like a dog on a meat wagon. They can't help themselves. Their wallet is out, they're paying. If somebody's selling, they're buying. Why? Because it's a fix. And unfortunately, when you're stuck in business opportunity seeker mode, you need this fix every 3 to 4 months. However, real sustainable success, it does leave clues. Abraham Lincoln, he said, "If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe." Think about that. You have 6 hours to complete a task. 6 days, 6 weeks, maybe 6 years. Maybe your vision, your goal for your life, for your family, is to create financial independence for yourselves within the next 6 years. Are you going to spend the next 6 years trying, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, buying into the same garbage? And I'm not even saying spend the next 4 years, like the example here, but spend some time honing your craft, learning some skills. At the end of the day, putting money in your bank account is no different than cutting down a tree. Now, Abraham Lincoln, he didn't know about the internet. He didn't know about the digital economy. He didn't know about computers. He didn't know about CPUs and processing and memory. He knew the tactical things of life, like cutting down a tree. But let me promise you something. Whether you're putting dollars in the form of digital currency into your bank account, or like Abraham Lincoln, where you're actually depositing a gold bar or gold coins, which has tangible physical value, acquiring wealth is the same principle that it has always been. It's a concept called remuneration. You will never outperform your self-image. You will never make more than you think you are worth. You must earn what you get or what you take. I'm begging you for the last time, forget about the false gurus who are promising you that shortcut across the mountain, only to watch and laugh while they deposit their checks and you pick up the pieces and try to figure out which way is up and which way is down. Spend some time sharpening the axe is the message you have to take home from this video today. You see, if you look at success, it always leaves clues. On your right, you have Mark Zuckerberg. Now, we all know who Mark is. Every person on this planet lives on Facebook. And as a result, this young Harvard graduate is a multi-billionaire. However, Mark Zuckerberg had a mentor. He had somebody show him the ropes. If you've seen the movie The Social Network, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's Sean Parker, founder of Napster. On your right, you've got Richard Branson, love him or hate him. But his company and his brand, his expert brand, it's based on something. It's based on challenging the status quo. But who did he learn this from? He wasn't just born with these traits. He wasn't just born with these mindsets. He wasn't born with this experience. The guy on the left, Freddie Laker from Laker Airways, Freddie Laker taught Richard Branson a lot of what he knows. Now, we all love Steve Jobs. Huge part of my generation, at least. A company that has absolutely changed business, technology, lifestyle in so many different ways. An incredible story of triumph, of tribulation, being fired from his own company in the 80s when the stock price was in the toilet, less than $10 a share, to coming back and while fighting pancreatic cancer, lead Apple to be the most valuable company in the world. They just surpassed Exxon this past September, the most valuable company in the world. Steve Jobs, he had a mentor. He wasn't just born this way. Leaders are never just born. They're always developed. Robert Noyce from Intel was Steve Jobs' mentor. Now, you don't hear too much about Robert Noyce. In fact, he's not even a household name. I didn't know about him when I first heard about him. The pieces of the puzzle aren't always visible. But like I said, success does leave clues. So what was it that made Apple the most valuable company in the world? And if you look at Apple's product line, it is so diverse. So I'm going to show you here how Apple went from being a struggling, broke, starving artist to the most valuable company in the world. Take a look at the chart that's on your screen. You can see 1981, Apple launches with an IPO. $3.59 was their IPO. Around that time, my father, he wasn't an Apple person. He was a PC person for sure. I remember our Tandy 1000 computer. In 1985, Steve Jobs leaves Apple after being forced out by the board. 1989, Macintosh Portable is released. This is the first laptop. 1994, the first Power Mac is introduced. In 1997, Jobs, he returns. And in 98, the first iMac, the first all-in-one computer came out. Then came 2001. I remember this. The first iPod was introduced. But it's the next big release that changed everything for Apple. It was iTunes. What is iTunes? iTunes is the spider web. It's the cloud. It's what connects all of these devices. And when Apple rolled out iTunes, I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday. Wow, you can pay 99 cents per song. And single-handedly, iTunes started to put out of business thousands of employees, hundreds of companies in the traditional entertainment world. But look what happened to Apple's stock price. From February 19, 2003, when iTunes was officially launched to the public, with a stock price of $9.53, Apple peaked September 21, the first day of fall, 2012. In less than 10 years, what have you done in the last 10 years? What have I done in the last 10 years? Apple has gone from being a near curse word to being the most valuable company in the world. And what changed that? Let me tell you something. What changed that was their ability to shift on the fly, to reinvent themselves, and to conceive and to concept the future and let go of the past. That is what Apple has always been good at. They're never playing catch up. They're always on the bleeding edge. And it was iTunes that did that for them. None of the other computer companies or hardware companies that are competing on features and benefits will be able to compete with Apple. Another business model leaves great clues. Some of the benefits of franchising are it's a proven business system. Many of the human errors aren't even given an opportunity to take place. Think about this. When Henry Ford invented the assembly line, Owning a car was not within reach of the average American family. But because of the assembly line, the cost of production was reduced so significantly that Henry Ford fulfilled on his goal by making the vehicle, the car, within reach of the middle class. Think about that. How much risk is reduced? It costs so much less to start your own franchise than to start your own business. It's like getting into a car and starting it and driving it versus building your own car before you can do that. Also, another benefit of franchising is you're leveraging the reputation and image and the brand equity of the franchise. And you're operating in a business niche that's already been identified. Franchises are a brilliant business model, but it's never been done online, at least not how we've done it. So what does it take at the end of the day? Well, number one, you have to find someone who's going to show you the ropes. You need a mentor, not a teacher, not somebody who's going to sell you a solution or sell you the information. Somebody who's going to teach you and show you. Number two, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. You're not going to win a race without training for the race. You're not going to earn a job with a certain skill without learning the skill first. Whatever has gotten into people's heads thinking that they can make money without learning the skill of earning money is absurd. Not actually deep inside, at the end of the day, in their heart, knowing they've earned what it is they're getting. And number three, you have to have the right equipment. You have to have the right equipment and the right strategy because this is your system. Like I said, business systems are designed to eliminate human error. No different than scaling a mountain. You would equip yourself with the best boots, the best backpack, the best jacket, the best gloves, the best shoes, the best ice pick, the best of everything. You would even saw your toothbrush in half if you knew it could save you and half an ounce of weight. Putting money in your bank account is no different, metaphorically, than scaling a mountain. There is no sustainable shortcut. What you need is a system. You see, metaphorically, the picture in the middle, on the bottom there, with the runs, having a ski lift to take you to the top of the mountain would be a system that could potentially replace an entire industry supporting those who have to hike to the top, for example. Maybe it has to do with a better strategy. This is the way you have to begin to think. Try to open your mind to what I'm saying, because if you get this, you'll understand how we can help you become financially independent in the digital economy with Digital Experts Academy. Number four, you understand that there is no success easy button. You have to understand the difference between making money and earning money. It took me a long time to make my first dollar online. And during this time, trust me, I bought into every product on the planet that promised me a get-rich-quick and easier solution. I was addicted, just like all opportunity seekers, to the biz-op high. The feeling of having struck gold. It's an addictive high. They go from one biz-op to the next, one home business to the next, one MLM to the next. They're always looking for the next. But sustainable success is never within reach. It's sad. From your vantage point, wherever you are in life right now, you may not know where to get started. You may have stubbed your toe, may have broken a leg, you may have gotten frostbite. Gosh, maybe you even suffered from some hypothermia. You might be turned off. You might be thinking to yourself, I don't have any mountain climbing expertise. I don't know anything about marketing per se. Or maybe you just don't know who to trust. Maybe you've tried a few things, you've slipped, you've fallen, you've been bruised, put hard-earned money and time into something, it didn't work out the way it was intended. But you do know that you have to adapt. And you have to do it quickly. You haven't time to spare. Because whether you like it or not, the economy will continue to transition.
You know, we're going to wrap it up with this. I'm really excited for you, actually, right now, because at some point, either, after watching this video, doing your due diligence, maybe at some point, a little bit later in the boot camp, you're going to have an epiphany. There'll be like this light bulb moment where you have this realization. And I remember having the realization back in 2003, 2004, wow, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And the hope And the just knowing that there was this opportunity for me to write my own check, to be in control, and to have the kind of life that I wanted without having to take the traditional path was so exciting. And when you have this realization, I promise you, you're not going to be able to sleep. So if you're the kind of person who likes to do the right thing, you want to do something that's real, you're willing to apply yourself, you're willing to make a commitment to your future and do whatever it takes, but also do it in a context of knowing you're working with the right people who share the same values, then you could very well be a fit. And that's exactly why the application process is there, to maintain the integrity of the community, but also we're like a family. You know, we want to work with people that are like us, people that are willing to earn their way, people that are willing to do the work, and also benefit from this incredible system that we've developed, which eliminates the vast majority of learning curves and variables that I struggled with, that Stuart struggled with, and that thousands of people currently are struggling with. So with that, we look forward to finishing up this boot camp with you. You can go ahead, you can get your application today, you don't have to wait. With that, it's Jay signing out here, and Stuart.
We look forward to working with you and helping you to earn while you learn with this new system. Take care, over and out, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Cheers.